So Tom couldn't be with us right now, but we wanted to get a recap with our buddy Austin now that the Snyder Cut has been released. So I have not seen it yet. I plan on watching it probably early Thursday or late Thursday, one or the other. So just right away, initial reaction.
The minute I finished the movie, my for to start off, it's not about the feeling I had when the movie ended. I already had this feeling while the movie was going. It was like the feeling of I wished it was longer. Like when I don't know if you saw some of my tweets. I did a few reviews, like threw a few opinions out. While it's not like the greatest thing in existence, I truly think that it's like a win for like cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna throw like CBM, like I'm not gonna like throw it against CBM movies and like tackle it anymore. I'm not gonna be that person and say, oh, it's better than something the other company did. I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna kind of like put it within the realms of the movies DC has released. It is definitely, I think, the best DC EU movie they released in that universe. I
Okay.
truly believe that. There's some mixed reviews, but it's staying at like a hard like 75 to it's at like 77% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like I don't really give a damn about Rotten Tomatoes at all.
That means
But
nothing to me. Yeah.
like I'm not going to mention any other movies, but they have movies where not a lot of people like them and they have good reviews.
Yeah, and not to go deep in here because we already recorded a ton. Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely everyone assumes, I'm Marvel all the way. Like there are tons of Marvel movies that I don't like.
Yeah.
There's some that I think are important for the MCU, but not a good movie. Doctor Strange is one of them. I don't think that's a good movie. I think it's boring. But I think that they had to introduce the character because they couldn't just show up and go, here's a wizard. So I get that. Now for this, I'm skeptical because I didn't like Batman versus Superman and I only moderately liked Man of Steel. But
Yeah.
from what I can see visually, it looks better. That's I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Yeah.
I've seen a little bit of stuff that Steppenwolf, albeit not perfect, you get a better idea of his purpose and direction. Is that accurate?
I would say right away that like you start to kind of like Steppenwolf because to start off, the character just wasn't pleasing to the eyes. Like I feel like if you're gonna have an iconic villain or a villain that kind of sticks with you, you have to make him look good. They did not make Steppenwolf look good at all, and for the scale of his like purpose and like in the matter that he was dealing with, like in the Justice League, he was trying to get all the mother boxes, help Darkseid conquer the world. Like it doesn't feel like the presence Steppenwolf has in this movie. It makes the situation at hand feel like on a much larger scale. Like he is that villain that like you have to defeat in this movie versus like by the end of the movie you were like, yeah, they're gonna freaking kill this guy. This guy's a bitch. Like the character was not good in the last one. He looks somewhat menacing in this movie. He has a very good feel. His voice is different than in Justice League, and he gets way more screen time, way more lines. You start to get this sort of like personality and purpose because of Darkseid's involvement.
Yeah, I always felt like Steppenwolf just I didn't care. And part of that might have been not having Darkseid. And obviously I think anyone, yourself, even the biggest DC diehards would agree, they didn't need 20 movies like a Marvel Endgame. They didn't need 20 movies before Endgame, but I think they could have used 2 or 3 more to set this up. I think some of the things like the mother's boxes for someone that wasn't a diehard comic, physical comic fan like me, I think that they could have introduced them sooner and kind of built it up. Like we knew what Infinity Stones were way before it mattered, right? And I think the mother's boxes just, I don't know. I felt like I was supposed to care about them and I just didn't, kind of like Steppenwolf. And I feel like if they had a couple film build up to this, and they didn't have to do 6, they didn't have to have one for every character. But I think if they had taken their time, it could have been closer to something that I would have been interested in. And maybe because I don't have the knowledge you do with the DC comics, maybe I can't fill the blanks in myself. So that could be it. But as far as just this movie, before I get into some questions, I'll say to you, for the most part, I've read good things. I've read some people that flat out, it's
Didn't
stupid.
like
But I think, honestly, based on how much I disliked the last one, I'd be surprised if I don't at least say it's a big improvement, which is the general consensus, I think.
Yeah.
I've heard some people that, 10 out of 10, it's amazing, which I think it's kind of like that's exaggerating. And I think the people that say it's not better, there's no point, it's almost like when you get into politics, right? I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Yeah.
If you're extreme to either side, I probably don't care about your opinion because there's no bias there, or it's completely unbiased or biased. If you're saying this is the best thing ever, I don't believe you. But if you say it's the worst thing ever, I also probably don't believe you. But I guess overall, what I'm hearing is somewhere between 7 or 8 out of 10 from most people. And if nothing else, a huge improvement.
I mean, like I said, I don't know if you saw what I tweeted or not,
I saw most of it, I think. Yeah. You were pretty fair. You were fair about the things that weren't amazing, but that it was better.
Yeah. If I'm going to be serious about this, I have to give it a serious, I give it a serious rating. I'm not going to say it's a 9.5 out of 10 because there's definitely some spots in the movie where I was like, there's one line that Gal has as Wonder Woman in the movie where she goes, I think it's already out in a scene that released, but he goes, I think they're battling and they get on like this bridge that's in the dam, like silo or whatever they're at fighting. And she goes up there and they're fighting, they clash swords and she goes away and he goes something, basically says like, you belong to me, your life belongs to me. And she like pauses and goes, I belong to no one. And then there's like this awkward pause until they start fighting. And I was like, the delivery on that line was a little meh, but it was very Wonder Woman of her to say, because in the cartoon, she said a lot of things like, Hera, give me strength and stuff like that,
Yeah.
Hera, be with me and stuff, like a lot of corny lines. So it was very comic booky, but it was almost like kind of didn't work with the moment. Yeah. And there's a few shots where the CGI kind of, it might have been the quality because my stream wasn't very good when I was watching it because my Wi-Fi has a problem with my Roku. But there's a couple scenes where I was like, that shot kind of looked weird, but they were only given $70 million.
Which sounds like a lot, but it really isn't.
For a 4-hour movie that's mostly CGI,
right?
There's going to be some shots that look bad.
So, I think, yeah, you're definitely right in terms of the Wonder Woman stuff. I always think with the comic book movies, there's some lines, even in the Marvel ones for sure, that I'm like, oh, come on, it's so corny. Like, but the thing is, comic books had a lot of corny lines back in the day. Like that was the thing. So I get that they want to be kind of honest to the source material. I'm trying to think what it was. I just the other day I watched one of the Marvel movies, and I remember there was a line that for some reason it's probably the 7th or 8th time I've seen this movie, maybe 20, I don't know. And I heard it and it hit me and I just went, why? Why'd they say that? Yeah. So it happens.
There's some lines like that where you're like, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. Like it's more power to women, and she's an amazing character and strong. It's just the delivery of the line felt a little off. Yeah. Could have been done differently, I feel.
Yeah.
It was just an awkward pause afterwards. I was like, what the heck kind of moment. You're going to know what I mean when you see it.
All right. I'll let you know what I think when I see it. So I have a couple of questions. Number one, and this is the number one question I have. I wouldn't have thought this was a big question for me because it's a character that I've already written off in this movie. I haven't heard anyone talk about Jamie Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Is it a smaller part in the movie or is it just forgettable? I've heard no one talk about it at all.
He's not in the film. I see. That's where I wanted to know, like, who was speculating that Lex Luthor had a huge part in this movie? Because at the end of BVS, he's in jail, and at the end of Justice League, that's when we see him on the boat,
right?
In Justice League. So he escapes jail in some time that the Justice League apparently is dealing with the whole Steppenwolf matter.
Makes sense.
So
yeah,
they dive more into it, and they still have that same scene with Deathstroke, but they added another ending scene there's 7 acts total, 6 for the full movie, and there's like an epilogue, and
Okay.
that's when we get part of the nightmare scene. So you have to wait till the end of the movie for the nightmare scene with Jared Leto. I'm
Yep.
not trying to spoil anything, but
No,
Jared
it's
Leto
fine.
doesn't have a huge part. He only has maybe like 5 minutes on screen, maybe not even that. But it did give us a little. It did set up some juicy stuff for us because of the back and forth Batfleck and him had. It was really interesting to see. It was the first time we had an interaction like that with them, and the first time Jared Leto's acting felt a little corny to me, but I was hesitant to like him. I've always kind of had a soft spot for him, but
I'll say this: he walked into a no-win situation coming in after Heath Ledger, and he had to do something wildly different.
Yeah, I rewatched the ending with my girlfriend because she had to leave like an hour and a half in. So I was like, I'll rewatch it again. Screw it. That night. So yeah, 2.5 hours I watched again. And I came to that part again at the end, and I kind of liked his Joker for a second. I really did. I don't know.
Now,
It was weird at first.
Can you rewatch it on that stream you had, or was it just for that day?
I can't. It only lasted for maybe like 2 days, I think.
Okay.
But they're having a premiere tomorrow night, I think, where they're showing it to people via, like, you just join a stream, I think, or you RSVP and it'll send you a link.
Yeah, I know. They said it's going live at midnight tomorrow Pacific, so 3 a.m. Eastern, but that's for like anyone can watch it.
Yeah.
All right. So Lex Luthor's there's nothing new or crazy about him.
There's nothing really new about Lex.
Okay. That makes sense because I had heard nothing.
I think the only parts he's in it is the part pretty sure the part we saw
with
in the original one, the theatrical one.
Yeah.
So
now, pacing wise, obviously, I thought Endgame was long, but it paced pretty well with entertainment. I never felt like I was desperate to get out.
Yeah.
How's the pacing? I heard that it starts out slow but ends strong for pacing. I don't know if you'd agree with that.
Depending how big of a fan, if we're going to compare Endgame because it's 3 hours versus this being 4 hours, I mean, me personally, when I first saw Endgame, like, yeah, I thought the pacing was a little off, but it didn't want me to, like, I didn't want to leave the theater because I obviously wanted to see the ending. I have never seen Endgame again until Endgame again. I've only saw it once and it was in theaters. So I've seen the ending battle and clips of it, because I rewatched it a few times. Pretty fun. See it online. But other than that, like this movie, I think it had like the best pacing for a movie of its runtime, because Zach threw an action sequence in, I'm pretty sure every act there's an action sequence.
I heard Ray Fisher gets a lot more spotlight in this one.
Dude, he's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good feeling about him because with the whole situation he went in with the studio, I started kind of following him, supporting him, seeing where it was going, and just like listening to him talk or maybe seeing other videos of him. Like, I always felt like he was he had a good demeanor. He seemed like a respectable, young, smart man and a good guy to idolize if you're a young kid, liking superheroes. And I was like, I feel like this guy could do well if he was just given the time. And he's almost feels like the main character of the movie. But he's fantastic. And you get more of his relationship with his father, Silas.
Okay.
And it's way more impactful. You actually feel during this movie rather than Justice League. There was like nothing to hold on to really emotion wise.
So when we talked before, I think I had said my biggest negativity towards this is best case scenario. It's great, which I think you would say it's mildly great. Like, it sounds like you're saying it's great, but it's not perfect, but it's really, strong.
I like it. I think it's great. I like it.
But now Robert Pattinson's Batman and Michael Keaton's going to play Batman. And this is, I'm just repeating all the shit I said before. Yeah. I haven't seen it yet, but let's say I see it and love it. I'm going to like love it and then feel empty. Like, well, it doesn't matter because they're not continuing it.
Well, what people are thinking might happen is that now that HBO has a lot of like the DC content and they're thinking about actually making HBO original DC themed shows. Like, we already got confirmed Blue Beetle. We already got confirmed Zatanna.
That's Blue Beetle. That's the one you told us you wanted. in the last
I thought
episode.
that was so awesome when you sent me that. I was like, holy crap, I just said that.
Yeah, that was
But
funny.
that was great. I can't wait. They got a Latino director directing it since the characters of the ethnicity.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't talk. So it was pretty cool. It was a win. It was a win for the community. And I think with HBO taking on more shows, we might get like the Snyderverse strictly to HBO if they want it.
I don't know if Affleck would do it. Maybe some of the other characters. That's the other thing.
No, we need them though.
Well, I mean, anything can be done, and anyone can be talked into it. Back in the day, I loved Nolan's trilogy, and when he walked away, people said, "Well, he doesn't want to do it anymore." And I said, "Yeah, but he would." And people go, "No, he wouldn't."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he would. If Warner Brothers went to him and said, "We're going to give you $200 million to make 2 more movies that will lead into Superman and bring the two together, and then we're going to hand it off to a new director," he would do it. He would do it. Like Christian Bale doesn't want to come back as Batman. They could have easily had Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Robin take over and then struggle, and then Bale comes back to save him. It wouldn't have been hard to do. They have the money. The movies were making tons of money. Anything can happen. It's just like with Marvel, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans being done. I have no delusions that they can come back anytime, because whether it's Marvel or DC, whether it's from the Flash or the Quantum Realm, there's ways to go back in time and to bring people back. We've already seen it with Superman. Superman died and now he's back. I mean, they can do it with the comics. It's just hard now because even if Jason Momoa stays as Aquaman, Gal Gadot stays, let's say they bring Ray Fisher back into the fold and do a Cyborg series, I think Henry Cavill is done. Now, maybe I'm wrong. I think he's done.
I don't think he wants to be done.
Maybe he was just done with the way it was. Maybe if it's Snyder and continuing, he'd change his mind. But I mean, I've said before, I think he is, I mean, as much as Heath Ledger is the Joker, I mean, Henry Cavill's Superman. I mean, you can say whatever you want about his acting. He is Clark Kent. Like, he looks, if you said who's the perfect actor, I can't see it. I can't see anyone else playing him. Now, like Affleck, I don't love Affleck as Batman, but I can see plenty of actors taking that over. I didn't think Pattinson was a good choice, and I think he looks awesome in the trailers. So, I mean, they can do whatever they need to with that. It is weird because if the Batman is great, Matt Reeves movie, then I really don't know what the hell they do. And that's not going to come out for another year. I can't imagine they're going to make any permanent decisions until after they see it.
I don't think Warner Brothers is going to stick with just one universe. That's the thing.
I think that's risky.
Their studio operates, yeah, but they've already like their core. They stick to their core fans. It's kind of a weird way to go. I feel like you could say that you don't think they do, but that's what they try and do in their cinematic universe. I feel they're trying to make more movies that appeal to the mass, rather than trying to just focus on their fan base. That's what Snyder's doing right now. And the TV shows kind of like do that right now too, because the Snyderverse crossed over with CW. So like not crossover, there wasn't a whole episode, but Ezra Miller Flash showed up in an episode of Crisis on Infinite Earths with Grant Gustin Flash, and they established multiverses. They established there is normal universes, and we're going to do this thing with different planets. So they have a different universe for the TV shows and they have a different universe for the movies. I don't see why they wouldn't continue doing multiple universes in their movies as well.
Yeah.
But that's just me. It's smarter to do just one continuous one, but
I just think
that's
that
what they're trying to do with Pattinson. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think best case scenario, and I know that this is not what most DC fans are going to want to do. Best case scenario, Pattinson's movie's awesome, and they start from there. And it's going to take a long time, and they're going to have to figure out, what to do with Superman and, all the other characters. But and maybe it's because Marvel won me over with the way they did it. So, I'm sure I could have my mind changed if the movies are really, really good. I love the Batman character. I love the way that Matt Reeves is making him look. That one scene when the guy says, who the hell are you? And he beats him. And he says, I'm vengeance. I mean, I went from 6 to midnight.
That's when I was like, oh my God. Like, it
and
was
I think the
dope.
Joker looks, it almost looks like a Heath Ledger version of the Riddler. Like they said, the Joker was so dark, we're going to make the Riddler dark. And I think it's great. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll see what they do with that and what they decide to do long term. I do think they're obviously keeping an eye on like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier and seeing, what's going to happen with Marvel. WandaVision, I think you said you haven't seen it yet.
No, I've seen it all, man.
Okay. So I don't know if you agree with me. I thought it started slow, got pretty good, and I didn't love the ending. I thought yeah, it was okay. I get that they're setting up future stuff. So, it was okay, but I am desperate for Falcon and Winter Soldier this Friday because I think that looks really entertaining. I don't know that it's, story driving, but I just think it looks, it looks a lot like Captain America 2 Winter Soldier, which is my favorite.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's curious.
I definitely want to see the Loki series. So I guess if I have to stay in touch with everything, I'll have to watch it. But I like Anthony Mackie. I like Sebastian Stan. So
yeah, we'll see what they do.
Can't go wrong with them. Their movies are always great. So
they're
probably
excited.
Good together.
I'm excited for tomorrow. I actually been trying to see when it was coming out because I wasn't sure if it was going to be afternoon or morning. So I'm excited to see it. I'm not excited that it's 4 hours, but that's just any movie. It's tough to sell me on 4 hours straight. But I will, I'm definitely going to give it a shot and I'll let you know what I think. But as far as, your final words, what else do you want to say about it?
For a real fan, the 4 hours feels like 2.5, but I have a feeling it's going to feel more like 4 hours for you. No offense.
Probably. Yeah.
You're going to see some stuff that's pretty awesome. I think Wonder Woman's amazing. Flash is the GOAT. He's the GOAT in this film. I'm not going to lie. I hated the Flash in Justice League. The Flash redeemed himself in this movie for me. I didn't think Ezra Miller was convincing enough, but he did convince me. The humor is good. Zack Snyder does know how to do humor, and I like it. All the humor that was good about Justice League was actually shot by Zack because a lot of the scenes that involved action were shot by Zack, and that's kind of when they try and do a little bit. Ezra won me over, man. Yeah, I think you're gonna like the ending because you see something very, very cool that we haven't seen ever in movies. So I think Zack does it the right way, and I think we deserve a sequel. So
we'll see. I think at this point, no one thought this was going to happen, and it did. So if it's wildly successful, you never know. But I will. I'll let you know. I'm sure by the end of the day, Thursday, I will have seen it. So I will definitely touch base and let you know. And then we'll see. What I think. I'm guessing. I'm probably going to like it a little less than you, just because you did like Batman versus Superman and I didn't. A lot of the stuff you're saying that it's been fixed were things I didn't like. So that's comforting. So we'll see.
To add on, this movie does not feel like a rated R movie. There's 2 F-bombs in the movie, and you see I think one person get cut in half. That's about it.
Okay.
There's blood and stuff like that, but it's not like gory.
It wasn't obligatory. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't like insane. It wasn't like 300. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think this movie's R rating is I think it's harsh. Like, I don't think it's deserved, but it has a couple F-bombs, but that's what you got to do.
How much screen time does Darkseid get? A lot?
It's more like Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy. A little more than Thanos in Guardians of the Galaxy. A little more.
But not like Infinity War. Not like a ton of him.
I think you see him around 4 times. One in battle with the old gods. You see one where he talks to Steppenwolf. You see one at Apocalypse and once at the end. I think about 4 times. So something wrong there.
All right. So I mean, it's better than 0.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all right. Well, I will. I'll touch base with you after I see it and let you know what I think. I'm gonna predict that I give it 6.5 out of 10. I'm just guessing.
6.5.
That's my guess.
I think in your eyes it'll deserve at least a 7. In my eyes, it doesn't deserve less than an 8.
If I go over 7, I think of that as a win because I would say the first one was like a 3.
The first one was trash.
The first one felt like 4 hours to me.
I was not impressed.
No.
I
No.
was actually very disappointed, not gonna lie. I'm not the Snyder cult fan that's gonna defend act
Yeah.
like I, some defended the old one because they didn't, you had to wait until all the BS came out about, everything that happened. And then that's when the Snyder cult happened. And everybody's like, oh yeah, we hate this one now.
Oh my
You
God.
know, some people are toxic like that in the community. Let me tell you.
Well, hopefully DC can figure it out because I love Batman and I want to see more Batman stuff and I want to see it be good. I hope Pattinson is great and they continue it, but I hope I am pleasantly surprised when I get to watch this in, I don't know, whatever, 30 hours or whatever it's going to be.
It should be fun. Just try to enjoy it. Sit back, try and enjoy it. Laugh at a few things. There's some stuff, corny comic book stuff, but what movie doesn't?
The good news is I went into the first one for some reason. This is probably on me with high expectations, just because I wanted it to be good, and it wasn't. The good news is maybe this time with no expectations, I'll like it. Could happen.
I feel like DC now has a bad rap because every single Batman movie that came out, that felt like the universe at the time. We weren't really getting anything else. So that was like hit after hit after hit. With Marvel, it's kind of like consistent. Some don't hold their weight, but they still have story and add on to it. So you have to see them. You enjoy them still in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like with DC, it's just critics. They just hammer down on DC movies because they're expecting that Nolan Batman esque quality. And like that's a completely different universe, man. That's like untouchable. That's gonna be a trilogy in the CBM universe that people remember for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, dude. Like,
yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, Nolan, even compared to Marvel, I mean, I like what Marvel's done better long term, but as far as
at the time, they did it the right way. For one universe, they did it the correct way for everything. So
yeah, I mean, even when they had to recast Rachel Dawes, I mean, I didn't love Maggie Gyllenhaal, but it didn't affect how good the movie was. I can't help but wonder if Heath Ledger didn't pass, because I know Nolan said he was going to be in the third one, and
he was, yeah.
I can't help but wonder what could have been. He was I mean, I know like people love to talk about how good he was as the Joker. I don't think you can exaggerate. I mean, he was the perfect Joker. I mean, so I'd love to see them. I'd love to see them return to glory with Batman.
Out of all the Jokers on the big screen, dude, if Jay Leto gets his chance, in my eyes personally, I think Jack Nicholson's on the bottom of my tier list right now, dude.
I haven't seen the one with Joaquin Phoenix, so I can't comment on him. So for me, it's pretty much Ledger's the best, Nicholson second, Leto's third. But I haven't seen this Leto. I've only seen the other one.
Wait, you haven't seen Joker yet?
No.
What?
No.
You have to see that movie.
I want to watch
it.
So
interesting.
Like 10 different times I've gone to put it on, and this is my own fault. I have this thing where if it's not part of a bigger universe, I don't give a shit. And
come on.
I will eventually watch. I eventually watch everything. I've seen so many shitty movies. I know that's everyone says that's at least decent at minimum. So I will definitely watch it. I tend to watch anything. It's just you got to get me in the right mood to watch it.
I love it, man. It's a classic. Rotten Tomatoes screwed that movie over, dude.
That means Rotten Tomatoes, and honestly,
I know it means nothing, but I don't know how you give that movie a 68%. It's bullshit.
Even honestly, not just Rotten Tomatoes, people in general. There's been so many movies in my life that I was told are terrible, and then I love them. And there have been so many movies that people tell me are amazing. I have very few people who, when they tell me something is great or terrible, I got to watch it because I trust them. Everyone else, it's like, we'll see what I think.
One of my top favorite movies that I think a lot of people tell me that they don't like, that a lot of people do, or maybe it's kind of half and half, is Peter Jackson's King Kong. It's like one of my favorite movies to ever exist.
A lot of people are big on King Kong.
Yeah, but I see a lot of people hate that movie. I don't know why. It's never made sense to me. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's the same as BVS because I truly think BVS has some of like the best cinematography, like some of the best. I don't know, man. I just think it has a lot of good qualities that people shit on. I think it was before its time, not gonna lie.
I promise
Uh,
you, and I'm not just saying this. I rewatched it recently because of you.
did you watch the Ultimate Edition?
I don't think so.
Okay, like I said, with the studio's involvement, Zach wanted to make that movie around 3.5 hours long. They gave him a director's cut that amounted to be like 3 hours and 4 minutes, and the theatrical was like 2.5. So Zach always wants to make these long movies, and who's to blame him? Because think about it: if Warner Brothers wants him to catch up, he's gonna have to make 3 really long movies. It's gonna have to be like Lord of the Ring-esque shit, dude. It's
Yeah.
gonna like I'm sorry, if you want to do these characters right, like how Marvel's done them in this time, you have to give him 3 movies that are roughly 3 to 3.5 hours long each. I
What
mean,
doesn't make sense to me though is they make so much money off of these movies. Why not just make 3 movies a year for the next 3 years?
I don't know, man.
You'd make a shitload of money on it.
I think what they should have done was just have Zach direct some movies and then have him produce each one with whatever director you want. Let him have some of the creative ability producing, and they just don't want to do that. Wonder Woman was a huge success. Zach produced it. Patty Jenkins directed. I loved it. The end battle was kind of meh, but I loved Wonder Woman. I thought it was great. I loved it.
A question for you, because I genuinely don't know. James Gunn's Suicide Squad, is it a remake?
No, it's a continuation. It's not.
It is. It's a sequel.
It's I don't know if they're gonna call back to anything. It's more or less like a sequel, but not a sequel. If you want to,
This is why I fucking hate DC.
like, it's in the same universe, but they're like throwing Harley Quinn into it. It's not gonna touch on anything from the last movie.
Okay. Yeah.
It might call back to it, like at the beginning when they're like, maybe they like get Harley Quinn and capture her. She does some dumb shit and gets thrown into Arkham. I don't know, but I feel like they're not going to really focus on the last one too much. So I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be really funny.
I
think
love Guardians, so I'll give James Gunn a shot.
I think the one people who don't realize this, I think John Cena is going to steal the show.
It'd be funny if he does that with John Cena
guy.
after what he did with Batista. It'd be funny if he took another wrestler and.
I mean, I'm just saying it's funny. I think he's going to be funny as hell, dude. He's getting his own HBO Max show, so he's got to have more lines if he's going to get his own show. You know, we're probably going to see a lot of them.
So, all right. Well, your episode will be out this Friday. This will be on the tail end of it. I don't know what we're going to see because Tom's going to have to edit out 3/4 of it because we talked for way too long. And, we'll see what happens.
I could talk about this all day, man.
Oh, we did an interview Saturday that it's the best interview we've done. It wasn't about comic books or movies, but we met with a guy who works on short films and radio and actually writes a book and actually writes poetry too. And it was the best interview we've ever done. And I swear it was for one reason. We were running late. We did it in person, not on Zoom. And we had all day, Tom and I, but he had to get the hell out of there. So we made sure we didn't pussyfoot around. We didn't talk about 15 different topics. We talked about everything we wanted to talk about. And then like we rushed him out of there. And I even, as soon as we said, all right, thanks for coming on, I was like, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to rush you, but like, you got to be somewhere in 20. He had to pick up his kid in 20 minutes. And I swear to God, it's the best interview we did because we didn't have 3 hours to talk. Even this, I planned on talking to you for 5 minutes. It's 8:40.
I know, dude. I'm sorry, man.
It's not you. It happens to me every time.
Maybe we don't hate each other as much as we thought, you know?
No. I once you said you would come on, like we talked about, you didn't hear it, but I think the intro to the episode is mostly me and Tom talking about what happened with you and I online. And I said, you know what? I'm no longer mad at him. He's got the balls to come on and stand up for it. Like, too many people can go online and just run their mouth. And then when you say, all right, let's talk about it, they go, well, fuck you. I'm not doing that.
No, dude, I genuinely was excited. I was like, I wanted to talk to people about stuff like this. And if we got an argument, who cares, dude? I mean,
well, I have a feeling whenever DC comes out with something new, we're probably going to say like, hey, can you jump on for 5 minutes and talk? And then we'll end up having 6 beers and talk for 45 minutes instead. But
Dude, I will be that guy any day. I'll talk about whatever you
there's
want me
worse
to.
ways to spend our time.
Exactly.
So,
Quarantine, man. I don't have interaction with people that much. Come on. I sit at a desk all day.
So yeah, I mean, every time that we record, every single time we're like, we're gonna be on time today. We're gonna be on time today. Never. And we've I'll hold on one second. So I'm gonna stop recording in a second. So I don't think we need anything else. Tom will throw in an outro afterwards. Do you want anything? I'm gonna stay on here, but do you need anything else before I stop recording?
I don't know, man. I guess just enjoy the movie. Try and enjoy the movie. It's pretty fun.
I wish I could get my response into Friday's episode, but I'll have it in the following one.
A lot of action, a lot of good action, at least.
Good. Well, if nothing else, get your popcorn ready, right?
Yeah.
Ra-da-da-da-doo.